Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out this evening. We'll go ahead and get started. I would like to call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Education. It's Monday, December 14th, 2020. It's 6:04 p.m. Let the record show that all board members are present except for Mr. Glenn, Mr. Ritter, and Ms. Ware. If you would, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Board, before each of you have an agenda, I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Cook, Mr. Welker, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved. First up tonight, we have our recognitions, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Glass.
Thank you. Our first recognition tonight probably needs no introduction at this point, but in 2009, she was named the Southeast Missouri School Counselor Association Elementary Counselor of the Year, Regional Counselor of the Year. So fantastic, nice job. That's just a lot of counselors can't say that. But in October, she topped that. She was named Missouri State Counselor of the Year. Out of all the school districts in the state of Missouri, she was the best of the best. But wait for it. Now she has just been named the National Counselor of the Year. I said it in the paper, and I'll say it again, it's hard for me to wrap my head around being the National Counselor of the Year. Out of so many counselors that are out there, being number one in the nation is just unbelievable. And so I cannot say enough about Ms. Carter. I know she's very much loved and appreciated at JE, but I also want her to know how much she is loved and appreciated by this district and what she brings to this community. So without further ado, come on up here, Olivia. Mandy, would you get a picture of us?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Long, I stole several of your quotes out of the paper, so thank you.
I couldn't resist.
When introducing Ms. Carter.
Congratulations. Again.
Olivia, you caught some heat from some readers because you had your mask on. You want to take
Oh. I'll get another one in.
I remember that, yes.
Would you
You
mind?
want in or out?
In, please. Just, I won't keep going.
Hold your breath. Okay, now breathe. Wait, let me take one more with her. Breathe. So, okay, ready? Got it.
So right after she did the interview, when she was one of the finalists, I said, "How do you think you did?" And she said, "I don't know, but I think I made one of them cry." I said, "That's what we're talking about." All right, our next recognition or recognitions are Terrific Tigers. We are pleased to recognize our December Terrific Tigers. These are students from each of our buildings that have been selected to receive the award based on their service to others, their leadership, and their scholarship. We'd like to recognize the parents when they walk forward. We're doing this a little differently. We're staging them out in the hallway. We'll call them in one at a time.
Okay, Alma Schroeder and Blanchard are not here, so we'll start with Clifford.
Clifford? All right. So Clifford Elementary, Paisley Underwood, 4th grade daughter of Abby and Jody Underwood. Paisley is an outstanding student. She's very respectful, kind, and considerate to her teachers and peers. She always tries her hardest and sets a great example on how to follow Clippard expectations at all times. Paisley is a great example of a terrific Tiger.
Yay, Paisley! I'm getting ready to say cheese, but you guys can't even see your faces, so never mind. All right, and if you want to, Paisley, you can take your mask down so we can get your face in it, and they'll step back. All right, there we go. All right, Mandy, my face in it. All right. Great job.
Congratulations.
Is Franklin?
Who we got next?
Is Franklin next?
Yes.
Franklin's here? Yes.
All right, Franklin Elementary, Camoria Bell, first grade daughter of Tara Bell. At Franklin Elementary, there's a bright, shining light by the name of Camoria Bell. Camoria's kind-hearted nature and gentle disposition have earned her the admiration of her teachers and peers. What sets Camoria apart is her diligent work ethic and ability to persevere. She possesses an unrelenting drive to succeed and will stop at nothing to make her teachers proud. Camoria is always better today than she was the day before. We can't wait to see the Camoria of tomorrow.
You can take your mask down if you want to, and I'll get one another one, okay? All right, ready? Good job, you guys can.
Get a picture? Great smile.
And Jefferson next.
Yes.
Is it Jefferson?
Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Jefferson Elementary, Liam Hansman, second grade son of Elaine Payne and Dustin Hansman.
Go ahead.
Liam works hard daily in class, is kind to others, and has a wonderful sense of humor. Liam is a great role model for all students. His love for math is amazing. He's a math rock star. We're proud of you, Liam. Keep up the great work.
You can come on up, let me get one with them, and then. You wanna go ahead? Okay. Do you want to take your mask? You want one without the mask? Okay, all right. Good job, guys. We're going to high school, Mr. Cook.
High school, okay. Central High School, Peyton Redinger, 12th grade, son of Jennifer and Eric Redinger. Peyton is smart, creative, and quick to solve a problem. He's someone that you can go to with a task and he can handle it with grace. He's an amazing person that is very deserving of this recognition. Way to go, Peyton.
Get a picture of him? You can take your mask off if you want one without your mask on. You want one without his mask on?
From last week. I don't know if he's here.
You're good? All right.
Yeah, he's here right now.
Noah Branson, Central High School.
Is that it, Mandy?
He was from last week.
Oh, last month.
Yeah, Noah Branson.
Yep.
All right. Central High School, Noah Branson, 12th grade, son of Dana and Alan Branson. There's not a student as honest and forthright as Noah. He's an intellectual that is also humble, caring, and empathetic. He is held in the highest of regards by both faculty and peers. Noah is an excellent example of greatness at CHS.
And a great cook,
too.
And singer and guitar player, just saying.
You can just say all of it.
Yeah.
You want a picture without the mask on?
Thank you.
Central Academy.
Janiyah Hall? Okay. Central Academy, Janiyah Hall, 11th grade daughter of twin Barger Barnett. Janiyah is an amazing student who always brightens up any room she is in. She's always laughing and having fun with those around her and continues to work harder at school each day. Academy is extremely proud of Janiyah and cannot wait to see where she goes in life.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it.
All right. That is it, sir.
That is all. All right, so next up, we have information, proposals, comments from the audience. Do we have any requests this month, Beth? No? All right. So we will move on to informational reports. First up is Board President's Report. Just two things real quick. One is we had the opportunity to celebrate Olivia Carter's National Counselor of the Year at JE, and it was really neat the way they did it. They had kind of a presentation from some of their kids that talked about joys of doing different things. And then at the very end, they did joy of recognition, and they recognized her as Counselor of the Year. So that was kind of a neat way to do that. And then through some community donations, they had a coffee truck that came up, and all of the staff got a cup of coffee to celebrate with her. So that was kind of fun. And then the only other thing I have is, obviously it's December, so Christmas is right around the corner. Just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and safe travels if you go anywhere. I know it's kind of a crazy time, but at least hopefully you'll get to enjoy some family time and maybe get a present or two. So. But anyway, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year. So that's all I have. So next up is Superintendent's Report. Dr. Glass.
So in one of our Friday updates, I sent you a video about a student that was recognized in the next project. The Scout Daily is honoring young people in our area through that. And it's our goal basically to celebrate students doing big things that have really knocked it out of the park. 4 of our students were highlighted in this, and we have been sharing those stories on Facebook. Take a moment and watch those if you haven't seen them yet. They're just outstanding. Our students have done a fantastic job, and they did a fantastic job highlighting our students. Shout out to the Air Force cadets. They helped last week and over the weekend with the Toys for Tots with the Marine Corps. And lastly, I'd like to thank all of our teachers and staff members for all their hard work and for getting us to this holiday break. It wasn't easy. We had to overcome quite a few obstacles, but we did it. And a big high five to all of them. I know we still have 4 days to go, but I'm thinking we made it. I'm thinking we made it. Our staff, students, and families have worked hard to help us stay open. I want to make sure we just take a moment and recognize that. I wish them a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a well-deserved break. That's all I got.
All right. Does anyone have any questions, comments for Dr. Glass? Nope. All right, next up, we have program evaluations. This month, we have English language learners with Ms. Turner. That was sent out previously. Anyone have any questions, comments about that report? Hearing none, all is good. Next up is academic services report.
That is
Dr.
me. Do I need a speaker, or am I loud enough?
No, you're not loud. You need the mic.
Okay, so what I wanted to cover was just give you a little update on our esports and then also our JAG program, which I'll start with our JAG program, which is our Jobs for America graduates that we implemented in our alternative program at Central Academy. It's been going very well. We've had some award winners there as well in that program. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an update, overview of what's been going on since November. DeShanta Sterling, she came and spoke the other day, but she did visit the First Lady, Ms. Parson, and she read her, presented her essay, and it went very well. They got to have dinner with the governor and the First Lady as well, so which was very exciting for them, her and Ms. McKinley. JAG students began an extensive project-based learning on the career of their choice. Each student had to research interview at least 2 people currently working in the field and present that information to their class. And I know some of them were doing welding. There were some that were in nursing, pediatric nursing. So they got an opportunity to actually meet people in the field and actually interview them and what you have to do in that field. Next, sorry, I'm saying JAG students DeShanta Sterling and Kamai Rutherford were both chosen as recipients of the Project Next, is what Dr. Glass was talking about. So that was kind of exciting, and they got to talk a little bit about what their future looks like and what their aspirations are. So it's very exciting for them to be on the spotlight for that. JAG students began a collaborative project-based learning about grace and gratitude with Central Academy 5th through 8th grade students, which is something that they're currently doing right now, and they're working through those projects with those 5th through 8th grade students. JAG students attended their first student-led national conference virtually, which was supposed to be in Washington, D.C., so they had to have it virtually. And then there are 31 students enrolled in the JAG program, with over 50% of those students working at least part-time, which is exciting because they're trying to find positions for them around the community as well. So if anyone is interested in providing some resources for them to find jobs, that would be a very big help for Ms. McKinley. So if you'd like to reach out to her or reach out to me, and I can connect you with Ms. McKinley in that process. Next is esports. High school is just kind of kicking it off, their esports program. Part of the issue is that we were closed for a week, and then some of those students that were actually in the esports program were virtual. So it was very difficult for our virtual students to do the esports. So next semester, we're not going to allow that to happen so that we can have other students that are face-to-face be part of that esports program. They just weren't logging on when they were supposed to. They weren't competing against people across the country when they were supposed to. It was just hard for them to do that virtually at home. Sometimes their internet service wasn't strong enough for them to participate as well. So there were several issues that we had doing it with the virtual students. In junior high, they have actually been competing nationally. We had Wyatt Means. He was in a tournament. He was 8th place. And then Jonathan Rankin was 11th. And then Kelly Mattis was 15th. There was a mix-up with the technology for Wyatt and Jonathan, so they didn't get to go to the playoffs. But Kelly did. And they're playing the game Smash Brothers, if any of you are familiar with Smash Brothers. I played with them one time, and they are very competitive, and they like to throw you off the rock when you're playing Smash Brothers, if you're familiar with the game. So Dr. Glass and I played with them last year, and they were very good, weren't they? I don't think but we did win in
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
Bring back Pac-Man.
We were Pac-Man champs. But anyway, hopefully we'll get to do that again this year. That was a lot of fun. Mr. Miller is kind of spearheading that, and his team. He's got several teachers that are doing that over at the junior high, and it's really exciting for them, and it gets kids involved that might not be involved in sports or any other activities in the building, but they sure love that program. And that's pretty much all I had from my report.
Anyone have anything for Dr. Binion? No? Thank you for the report. Next up, we have our instructional technology update with Mr. Russell.
So in the last couple of weeks, just have been digging into Canvas. We finally got access to it this last week, and that's all I've been doing for the last week is testing. And so we're starting to put things together. Going to update our teachers here in the next couple of days once they can get access. We're trying to make sure that it's working properly before we give our testers access. And so far, we were able to move everything from Moodle without any problem. And so that's one of the biggest headaches, biggest hiccups that we were worried about. And so tested 7 or 8 classes, different sizes, and everything seems to work so far. Then just some of the things that our teachers are doing. This was kind of a challenge that the virtual teachers got from Ms. Schuessler, and just trying different things out, learning about Google for some of those who, well, a couple of rock stars there, but some teachers who just wanted to know some extra things. And so just getting ready for our Imagine Learning testing cycle and getting ready for this end of this semester. And so that's all I got. Just quick and easy.
Anyone have any questions?
When will they be over to Canvas fully?
The plan is for the next school year, so coming next August. And so going to do a lot of testing and do some trialing through the spring, and then start as soon as we can prepping teachers. Haven't got that schedule totally set up yet, but toward the end of this school year and throughout the summer, then anytime anybody wants to get together and talk about Canvas, that's what we'll do. So.
Any other questions? No? Thank you for the update. Next up, we have our Community Teachers Association report.
Report tonight. Thank you.
All right.
We do not have a report tonight.
Okay. Well, have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Next up, we have our Treasurer and Finance report. Ms. Dudek.
This report is for the month ending November 30th. In our general fund, we started with a beginning fund balance of a little over $7 million. Revenues received for the month were $1.4 million. Expenses in the general fund were $760,000, and $1.6 million was transferred to the special revenue fund, leaving us with an ending fund balance of $6.1 million. The cash and investment details are listed. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Support Services report. Mr. Crowell.
Good evening. Before you have some numbers from food service that was discussed a little bit earlier. But what's really important about food service is how many Crispitos have we had this school year so far, because it's been a while since we've given that update. Would anybody like to take a gander? Is it over 5,000? Is it less than 100,000? Is it more than 50, less than 30?
12,000.
We've had close
We
to
have
16,000 Crispitos.
Nice job, Randy.
Yep. Close. And there is no prize for that. If you want to come and see me tomorrow, I can give you some nacho cheese. Food service has been going well. Projects have been going well. No change from the last update for our Jefferson project. That's still in the construction document phase, where all of those plans are being formalized, and probably around end of February is when we'll be looking at letting that out for bid. So.
But you did have, what, three meetings, significant meetings, 3 or 4, where you discussed the kitchen, we discussed, we had a joint meeting with Parks and Rec.
There's been a lot of meetings with it, yes.
Yep.
There has been.
So when we say there's no activity with it, that's not.
That's a misnomer.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been plenty of discussions. We have a meeting with the city coming up about College Street. That's part of their TTF 6. those different type of discussions. So there's a lot of Lego blocks involved and a lot of layers to it. So all of those discussions are taking place. Other than that, nothing else to report unless you have questions.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Crown? No? Thank you for the report. Next up, we have our board reports. First up is MSBA Delegate Report.
I don't have anything new, but there is a thing I'm going to talk about in a little bit
Okay.
that's on the agenda, so
All right.
I can wait till then.
Anything for the legislative report?
Nothing major. The legislature comes back into session in January, and there's likely to be lots of discussions about tuition tax credits and vouchers and all this stuff with COVID, remote learning, lots of people trying to get money. So we'll just have to keep our eyes peeled and pay attention, see what's going on.
All right. And Lynn is not here for the Cape Public School Foundation report. And I did not hear anything to report this month, so.
They do have the food mobile at Jefferson this Thursday.
Okay.
The foundation and Care to Learn jointly are doing that, so it will be available from 10 to 12 at Jefferson, and then anything that's left from that food mobile will be available at the end of the day for families that come through.
Okay.
And that's been all over our social media posts, letters, emails, parent liaisons.
That's this Thursday from 10 to 2 at Jefferson Elementary.
Yes.
First come, first served.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have non-action items. Discussion regarding legislation moving board elections from April to November. I'm assuming that's what you were.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I'll read this little blurb again. A national trend to move school board elections to November. MSBA anticipates that legislators will attempt to do so in Missouri with the argument that more people vote in November, so school board candidates elected in November would be more representative of the community. But there's concern that moving the election would draw school boards into partisan politics and make it more expensive to run for school board. So MSBA is asking all school boards to provide a response to this, and I have to submit that by January 1st. So do you all have any feedback or thoughts on it?
I guess the biggest concern I have is what you said, in that school boards should be non-political, apolitical, I guess. And if you start trying to introduce them into a political voting cycle, then I think that might lead to some persuasion from different parties trying to get different agendas passed, which I don't think is appropriate for school boards. I think you should be treating all students and all of your constituents equal, regardless of party. And of course, this is a non-paid, completely voluntary position, and if you start introducing it in November, then in order to get your votes out, you're going to have to start spending more money, and that leads to a whole different. So then do you start setting up a campaign committee and start doing fundraisers, and that just, for a school board, that's kind of contradictory to what it's supposed to be. I mean, that's just my opinion.
I would concur. I'd much rather keep it in April, keep it separate. It also keeps that lame duck. I mean, in addition to it, the little lame duck phase from April to June, much shorter than November to June. So if you are on and you get voted out or don't run again, now you've got this 6-month lame duck period. In addition to the partisan politics side, keep it separate, make it separate.
And plus, April tends to be more local elections. So you have your state, your city councils, your county seat. Those tend to all be in April, where in November tends to be more state, federal. So if you start mixing them all.
Yeah, it is, and I personally agree with everything you're saying, but the number of people voting is, when I was looking at it, I think it's about 12 to 15% of registered voters who vote in April. So there aren't as many people voting.
But unless there's a tax initiative or unless there's a federal, like a presidential race, you typically don't get much more than that in November elections anyway.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, at least for the city of Cape, I mean, if you look at the numbers from the city of Cape, it's hard to break out those numbers when you have state, federal elections in there as well, because then you start talking about the county and
right.
total votes within this area. But for the city, that's about normal for us. Unless there's a tax initiative or something on the ballot, and that tends to bring people out a little
bit
more heavily. But.
Okay. All right, if you guys have any additional thoughts, I mean, I'll just kind of take this feedback and submit it in a week or two. But if you have any additional thoughts, please feel free to email me.
Is there any way to get, I guess, feedback from people that live within the city limits, their opinions? I mean, granted, that obviously affects the board, but it affects our constituents as well. So I don't know if there's a way to get that information out so that, if people wish to give their 2 cents worth.
Yeah, the paper's sitting right here, I'm sure.
That's true.
When they write the article, there'll be several comments on where
we could write an online poll.
Yeah, there you go.
No, that'd be great. I mean, if you could do something like that for us, just to find out what the city's population opinions are.
I'll run it up the flagpole.
Thank you.
And obviously, I don't know, because the school board is elected just from people that live within the city limits of Cape Girardeau. I don't know if there's a way to
Probably not.
to put that in within the questions. You're trying to poll people that live within the city limits, because obviously there's within the school district.
If it's passed, though, it would affect every school district.
Yeah.
It is a school district.
So it is
For
a
the whole
general
state.
question. I mean,
Yeah,
you can poll
that's true.
anybody, I mean, it's going to affect everybody. It's
Yeah.
not just our district.
I guess that's true.
We might only be concerned about what people, our voters in our district, will determine, but it would affect everybody.
Never mind. Does anyone have any additional questions? And you might reach out to Jeff, Jared, and Lynn and see what their opinions are, since they're not here this evening.
Okay.
All right, next up we have approval of consent agenda items. This month we have minutes of previous meetings, November 30th, 2020, payment of bills, and the Central High School prospectus for Introduction to Data Science. I have a motion to approve those items.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Cook, Dr. Fagley, any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? These items are approved. Next up, we have business items. This month, first up, we have, hang on. Cursor's not working, sorry. First up, we have a motion to accept the 2019-2020 audit report prepared by Stanley Dernberger Hopper & Associates, LLC. That was presented earlier. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Cook, Mr. Welker, Dr. Glass.
Yeah, thank you. So as our auditor indicated earlier, we have what I would say a clean bill of health. There was no findings. I think Lindsay and the business department, Beth, and all the work that she does with core data and cleaning that up, Mr. Crow with transportation and food service, and Libby with the Career Technology Center. So it truly is a team effort when we take a look at a school audit. He tests a lot of different things and a lot of different programs, and to come out, basically with, not basically, with no findings. And, he works with Lindsay throughout the year on corrections or advice or anything like that. And to have that relationship and to have an audit as clean as this and in a good financial position, I'm just very proud of my team. I'm very proud of this district and the school board. It's monumental. It's one of the major milestones throughout a school year to get an audit. So I just want to say thank you. And if the board has any questions for Lindsay, or Lindsay, if you want to say anything, that'd be fine.
When you look at this report, I know upstairs when Patrick presented on it, there's words like accrual and fund financials and district-wide schedules. So there's really two major reports that we have every year, and the first one's the ASBR, and that is the district's financial position on a cash basis. So how much money did you get for the year? How much money did you spend for the year? And because we have the Career and Technology Center and they administer financial aid, we take our schedules and we convert them to an accrual basis. And we say, okay, this is where we ended with a cash basis, but how much revenue should we have gotten and how much should we have spent? And we measure it out for 90 days. So when he says fund financial statements, some of these statements in here are prepared fund financials. That's within 60 days. What happened in July and August? That really was for last year. And then the district-wide goes out longer than that. Goes out like we take it to like November. And so it's a more accurate representation of our financial statements, but for DESE's purposes and most school districts, they go by the cash basis. And our fund balance, we ended it with this year was a little over 26%, which is a healthy fund balance. Probably the highest it's ever been since we've been here.
Since we've been here,
yeah. So there's all kinds of schedules that are in here. If you have any questions, you can certainly contact me and I'll help you. I'll try to answer your questions. One that I wanted to point out is back on page 75. That's where when we talk about the federal money that comes in, all of our grants, this schedule is specifically that. List all the grants that we get and how much we spent for the year. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I'd just like to say thank you for all the hard work. I know there's a lot of hours that goes into putting this report together and doing the audits and the testing from the different funds, and I just appreciate all that hard work, but also the rest of the administration, all the things that you do throughout the year that makes this process much easier and makes us as board members sleep a lot better at night, because I can tell you when I first got on the board in 2006 that things weren't always this clean and good. And there were some things that have been addressed throughout the years that have made it much more transparent, but much cleaner in reporting. And I know it's not an easy task from the standpoint that the state changes things constantly, and then you throw COVID-19 into it, and that changes the funding and all the different things that go into that. So this year has been extremely challenging, and to have a completely clean report like this is very commendable. So thank you for that. Anyone have anything?
Second that.
All right, so the motion is to accept the 2019-2020 audit report prepared by Stanley Dernberger, Hopper and Associates. There are any further questions or discussions? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The audit report is approved. Thank you again. Next up, we have a motion to approve a statement of support to request a reassignment of Community College Service Area from Three Rivers College Service Area to Mineral Area College Service Area. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Cook, Mr. Wilker, Dr. Glass.
Yeah, so I've got a special guest here tonight, Mr. Rich Payne, probably no stranger to any of us. And then I also have Dr. Libby Williams here to speak on behalf of the CTC and kind of what this means for us. But basically our proposal is, right now we're serviced under Three Rivers Community College. And what what we're looking at doing here with this recommendation would be to take it forward to Mineral Area College and ask them to become our service area region. And basically, they then take it and work it out with the community college president. So this is in no way changing the service area. By this action tonight, it would take a gentleman's agreement basically with the Three Rivers and Mineral Area College working together to say, okay, Cape has signified that they would like to become in the Mineral Area Service Region, and what can we do to help them down this path? Rich, am I saying that appropriately?
Yes, and furthermore, as we move forward with the possible creation of the 13th Community College, what it does is it helps us align with one group as opposed to having 2 and 3 like we presently have. So it helps the whole scene and the whole what we're trying to accomplish. If Perryville's already in that district, in their service region, Jackson and Cape are not. So those are the 2, and I believe Dr. Gilmore is also talking to some of the smaller school districts in the region that actually send to the Career Center about doing the same type of thing, so that it can be all inclusive as we continue to move down this path towards having our own solution here in Cape Girardeau.
And from what I understand, Jackson's already made this recommendation.
Jackson has already made this, and basically, Neil's correct. It goes, service regions are basically, the Community College Association sits down with the community college presidents X number of years ago, and they decide what the service region was. It's kind of interesting. I thought of this when I walked into this building a while ago, because this used to be the vocational school. Mineral Area College started teaching general education coursework in this building. That's how long they've been here and been our servicer, but that was they weren't in our service region, but they were serving at the services through RTEC, which is a totally different thing. But the bottom line is Mineral Area College has been a group that's been here to service this community more so than Three Rivers. And it helps us align with them, especially as we continue to move forward with the 13th Community College at the same time.
What positive impacts would there be on our students?
Positive? Mm-hmm. Well, I think, Kyle, as we move forward with this whole solution, whatever that solution ends up being at the end of the day, our solution will be dual credit, possible technical dual credit, the ability for certificates and degrees now to come through the technical programs that are housed at the Career Center underneath this umbrella, and work in conjunction with Libby in the post-secondary programs that she already has degrees with, that presently has an issue, has a bump in the road, so to speak, with that home rule 15-hour deal that we've been dealing with. So it kind of cleans that up, Kyle. It would clean it up a lot, in a lot of respects. Now, you're asking, it's the will of this school board for Mineral Area College to go have that discussion. Just like Neil said, that's ultimately it's going to be their decision. But I'll tell you right now, Rich Payne talks to higher ed weekly now, and I've had this discussion specifically with the higher ed department and my contacts. It's the right thing to do as we continue down this path to find one single solution. So basically, I think it's a good thing to do. Ultimately, will it happen? That's in somebody else's hands.
We basically need more of a presence here in Cape Girardeau, and that's something we've been missing. We have to travel 80 miles in either direction to get to a community college other than our CCC out there. And, I think Cape Girardeau is primed and ready for this expansion.
Yeah. And if, you may have read the article in the paper, and he's taking notes back here, so he's going to be, adding to it, but I'm sure. Call Jay. Make sure you call Jay. He's got the rest of the notes. But we've already submitted the letter of intent. We're moving forward. I've received word from a lot. I can't really say all that out here because he's behind me. But I've received word on from a lot of different groups, and we need about 98.3 in order to do the needs analysis. And I'm telling you right now, we're close. And after today's meeting, we're real close. So that's the next step in the process, is the needs analysis, community survey, all those kinds of things, which will really start defining this picture more so for Jeff City. We know we need it, but I think this study will help us define that more clearly. that's where we're at on it, and it's exciting. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago at the governor's office. They're very well aware of it in Jeff City, this whole scenario. So this is a piece of the puzzle right here.
So we're currently in Three Rivers.
Yes, sir.
We want to move out of Three Rivers into Mineral Area.
Yes, sir.
So what is Three Rivers' feelings about that?
No, they're probably not terribly excited.
Have they said anything? Do they know?
I have not talked to Dr. Payne about it. They do know about it. This has all been in discussion. Him and Dr. Gilmore, and even Brian Milner, who's the Community College Association director, he's aware of it. He's had conversations, because I had conversations with higher ed, and their meeting, they met the next morning with Brian Milner about this. So, there's a lot of discussion. And those service regions, basically, they sat down and just kind of divvied up the pie. Texas County out there in the middle of nowhere is in Mineral Area College's service region. Why? Who knows? That more aligns more with Three Rivers and some other things. So there's give and take there with who does what. Now, that is different than a taxing district, okay? That's just their service region.
Right.
But allows them to provide services in that region. But I'll tell you too, that sometimes they don't always honor all those agreements, but at the same time, I think it's, it would help clear things up with who's doing what, where, when, and why for us.
So the other elephant in the room is, what is our friends on the Hill going to think about it? Because that was the issue that we had before when we were looking at doing, we came up with the Cape College Center.
Yeah, because if you remember, 10 years ago, I sent these letters in, not with board approval, but I sent letters in from all 10 school districts from the superintendents, and nothing happened with it at that time.
Because I know Dr. Dobbins was very much opposed to it. Now we have a new president at the university, obviously, but.
Well, I'm not going to speak for Dr. Vargas, but Dr. Vargas, this has been a very, 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 very transparent conversation. You guys know me well enough that's in this room. I don't hide anything. And he's been a part of the conversation. Even I called him before the news article was going to hit the paper to make sure that he knew it was going to hit the paper and where we're at with this. I think there is some angst because of the general education coursework and some of those things, but I think those discussions are continuing to go on between those two institutions. I've been in meetings with those two institutions. I've not been in meetings more recently with the third institution to the south.
And changing the service region that's between community colleges, so that doesn't change the school district's relationship with Southeast Missouri State on any, whether that be dual credit, whether that be having student teachers in the building, whatever we already are currently doing with SEMO, that doesn't affect that. It's just a change in service region for community college.
Right, but right now our students get dual credit through SEMO, not through a community college.
And that can continue.
But the cost to go to community college is much less than what.
Not so much when you talk dual credit, because it's some, but they split it in half. I think that'll be a part of the discussion, dual credit. And to be honest, Kyle, they have those discussions in every school district. As I've been working on this project even more so, I hate to say it, but there's actually 3 different institutions that deliver dual credit at Perryville. There's some of our southern schools, they may have 2 and 3 schools that are delivering dual credit in certain areas. Because some are stronger in certain areas than they are in others. And some, because of that master's degree and the content area they need, also kind of plays into the part with some of those that can actually teach dual credit at the high schools.
SEMO, I know that SEMO staffs some of the classes out at the community college.
Yes.
So will that continue, or?
At this time, yes.
Okay.
Now, if ultimately there's a 13th community college, that would change. And I'll tell you, some of those, it's kind of interesting, Libby will attest to this, some of that staff enjoys coming there and teaching much more than they do up on campus in some ways. Just depends on the teacher. Okay? I'll say that.
I think overall it'll be a good move, just from the standpoint that our students will be able to use the A+ designated funds that they get at graduation to go to a 2-year school. Because right now, they really can't use them at SEMO, even though SEMO says they have a tuition assistance plan. It's not really using A+ funding as it was designed to. So I think it'll allow our students to stay closer to home rather than have to go to, travel to Mineral Area or Three Rivers. Even though,
And if you look at the data, the DESI data, between the 3 school districts, okay, in 3 areas, number of A+ students, number of 2-year placement, and the number of students placed in technical schools, all 3 of those data points, all 3 school districts that we're talking about for this community college area rank far below the state. I just pulled it off 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I think we're missing out on some opportunity, for sure.
well, on our APR, don't we usually score pretty low on our...
We can do better.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions, comments? I'm sure there'll be more discussion around this, but right now we have a statement of support that's been requested. The motion is on the floor. If there's no further discussion or comments, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it is approved. Look forward to seeing what comes out of it. And last for business. Well, mine is not opening for whatever reason. There we go. So the motion is to authorize the superintendent or his designee to negotiate a contract with CDWG for 1,540 student devices, Chromebooks, for a cost of $400,307.60, and to execute the contract on behalf of the board. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Welker, Dr. Fagley, Dr. Glass.
Yeah, so Dr. Binion and Mr. Hall came to me and said that basically, in order to kind of guarantee that we receive them for next school year, we need to get them on order because there's evidently a lag time with these. And so I said, well, let's get the prices and we'll get a jump start on it. We'll probably have to pay this out of this year's budget, but as you heard, we've got the fund balances to do that, which shouldn't be an issue. But so the high school's going on 4 years old, right, Brian? And they're up in the cycle. So this will be the high school and Central Academy in this purchase. Anything to add to that, Brian?
Where will the used devices go? Do they go to the elementary?
Some of them are going to the elementary, some of them are obsolete and not worth anything, so be a combination of that.
Do you want me to comment on that?
Sure.
And also the next question was going to be, so are these Chromebooks similar to the Chromebooks that we have currently, in that the students can use the same carrying devices and chargers, and
Sure.
or is that equipment becoming outdated as well, or?
Yes, and no. First, the used devices, we're hoping that we get about 50% of those that are repairable and in good working order, so that we can actually replace roughly 440 devices in the elementaries that are currently being used that are out of support at the end of this year. So we'll be pulling those out and cycling the ones from the high school in, and that will give us at least another year to be almost fully one-to-one at all the elementaries without any extra expenditures. As far as the cases go, most all of the cases out there are at the 3-4 year cycle, and the clip-on cases that the sophomores have will not fit these. Those would be the ones that are in the best conditions. The cloth cases are not in good enough condition that I would want to reuse them with a new batch of devices. So we will be looking at buying those. There's not a 4 to 6 month lead time on the cases like there is on the devices. So we'll be pursuing that in a few more months. But right now, in order to try and assure that we get devices before the start of the school year, they said that we need to order them by the end of December or first part of January. This is coming from the manufacturers and our vendors.
Does anyone else have any questions?
With devices, is this a line item that we're budgeting for now, just going forward, that every year we're going to have to replace 400, or, I mean, it's just fact of life, they obsolete, they break, they whatever?
Right. We have a replacement schedule. We actually have 1 year that we don't replace very many. But if we go full one-to-one at the elementary, that year will be taken up by those. Currently, we replace the junior high and middle school, which we just did this past year. This past summer, we just replaced all those. This year, the high school and Central Academy are up. And then we would have a break year, or we should have a break year, if we could take the ones out of the high school and put them in the elementaries. And then we'll have to cross that bridge of what devices are we going to support in the elementaries? Do we want to be full one-to-one there? And at this point, we almost have to be, at least at this current time.
Just one other question. Are we still doing the insurance program for?
Yes, sir. We do $20 a semester, $40 for the year. Of course, if you have a new enrollment or something that just came in, if somebody enrolls right now, we're just kind of forgiving it for 2 weeks. But at the start of each semester, they can have their device inspected, and if everything's good, then they can take out the insurance, and it covers all the way up to the cost of the device unless it is lost or intentionally damaged. If there's a police report filed on it, we'll cover it, and then we'll offer another round of insurance on it. And we did reduce that from $50 to $40. I believe that was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Are we the judge on that insurance, the negligent destruction?
Well, when we find BBs in them, that's pretty telling. And also when the student tells you, yeah, I got mad and slammed it down on the corner of the desk, most of the time they're pretty honest with you, believe it or not.
Anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So the motion is to authorize the superintendent or his designee to negotiate a contract with CDWG for 1,540 student devices, Chromebooks, for a cost of $400,307.60, and to execute the contract on behalf of the board. If there's no further questions or discussion, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. And that is all the business for this evening. You have anything else?
Nope. Wish the board a happy holidays.
You too. Anyone on the board have anything for the betterment of the board? No? All right. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Welker, Mr. Cook. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.